Hello everyone, meeting you after a very long gap. I was tied up with some urgent work, but now everything is over and I am back with fresh audio notes for CA Foundation Law, the June attempt. Now we are going to upload one audio note every day on my YouTube channel, so do subscribe to this channel and also hit the bell icon so that you get notifications for these videos. So we are going to post one audio note every day, and I received many requests for students to upload lectures in English because in law it is not possible for you to learn in Hindi, translate that in the exam and then write in English. You don't have that much time. But what if you listen in English, you understand in English, and you then write in English? It will be better for you to write the answers in exam. So I think it will benefit most of the students who want lectures in English only, and others who would like to improve their writing skills. All right, students, so these lectures are going to be in English so that you save a lot of time in the exam, as you have heard the lectures in English, you have understood in English, so it will be better for you to write your answers in English. You will save a lot of time during exam. Now you can purchase the full podcast lectures from my website capreetiaggarwal.com. We also have combos. So the business law and revision podcast combo has the main law book, which you see in my audio notes. So the full law book, theory book, as well as the podcast. Whereas the compiler and revision podcast combo has the compiler, which is a detailed question bank. You must have read the messages that this time in CA Inter, all the questions were from my compiler, and we are expecting that for CA Foundation as well. So all the questions will be from the compiler. The best part of the compiler is that answers are given as expected by ICI. So you have full length answers and in the format provisions, facts, analysis, and conclusion. So it will be very easy for you. You don't have to apply any time in converting the answers. Everything will be given in the compiler. You can go through the website capreetiaggarwal.com for sample pages, or you can contact me on my WhatsApp number, that is 965-344-7150. Students, we had stopped at minor. I think that was the last part that we had discussed. Now let us go through and complete this chapter. Let us go through the concept of contract by person of unsound mind and also contracts by disqualified persons. So let's get started. This is my business law book. You can purchase the business law book as well as the podcast from my website capreetiaggarwal.com. So contracts by person of unsound mind. See, we cannot enter into a contract with a person of unsound mind. He's disqualified from contracting, and that is mentioned in section 11. So as per section 11, the person must be of sound mind, which also implies that you cannot enter into a contract with person of unsound mind. Now, who is an unsound person? So section 12, it defines the term unsound. Now from these two section numbers, which section number is important? Actually, both are important for exam. Section 11, it provides the list of persons who are capable of entering into a contract, and section 12 actually defines the term sound mind. So if a question is asked, you are expected to write both the sections in exam, so you have to memorize both the sections. We will highlight the keywords later, but first let us go through the provisions. A person who is of unsound mind means a person who is not capable of taking decisions for himself. He is not a rational person. He cannot make judgments, he cannot form opinion, he cannot judge whether this contract is in my favor or it is against my interest. Therefore such contracts are void. However, if a person enters into a contract for his necessaries, either provided to himself or anyone who is dependent on him, such contracts for necessaries will have the same position as that of a minor. Even an unsound person can enter into contracts which are for his benefit. Now let us go through the provisions and we will then find out the keywords. So a person entering into a contract must be a person who understands the terms of the contract. He forms rational judgment. Rational judgment is the keyword and we need to memorize that. Okay, what if a person enters into a contract and he was sound when he was entering into a contract? So person is usually sound, but only sometimes he becomes of an unsound mind. So when can he enter into a contract? He can enter into a contract only when he is of sound mind. He cannot enter into a contract when he is of unsound mind. But what if a person who is usually unsound, but he enters into a contract when he is of sound mind? So the contract will be valid only if it is made when he is of sound mind. Okay, what is the position of a contract with unsound person? What if he does enter into a contract? See, the position is same as that of a minor. If the person is entering into contract which is for his benefit or it is for supply of necessaries either to himself or anyone who is dependent, then recovery is possible from the property of the minor. What if a person is termed as a lunatic? Lunatic means a person who is mentally deranged, he's disturbed, mad, crazy due to some personal experience. He can enter into a contract only when he is of sound mind. Idiot is someone who is permanently incapable of entering into a contract. He can never enter into a contract. Okay, so he's permanently incapable. He can never enter into a contract. The agreement with him is void. In case of drunken or intoxicated person, he cannot enter into a contract while such delirium or drunkenness lasts. He is वैसे तो a natural person, but only sometimes when he is drunk or he has very high fever, only during that period he is considered to be a person of unsound mind and he cannot enter into a contract. But once he comes into his senses, he can again enter into a contract. What about contracts by disqualified persons? First, let us understand who are disqualified. So we have alien enemy, foreign sovereigns, ambassadors, convicts, insolvent, or any company or statutory corporation formed under separate act of parliament. Now, alien enemy. Alien means a foreigner. Now, alien can be our friend, alien can be enemy. Alien friend means a person with whom we are at friendly relations, but alien enemy means a person with whom we are at war. So if you are at peace with that country, he's your alien friend, and the person, if we are at war with that country, then that person is known as alien enemy. Can we enter into contract during war? No, such contracts are void. You cannot benefit the enemy. But what if I have already entered into a contract and then a war is declared? So we will try to analyze, is this contract against public policy? Is it benefiting the enemy? If yes, then the contract will be dissolved. But if it is not against the public policy, it is not benefiting the enemy, then that will only be suspended and will be revived after the war is over, unless it becomes a time barred debt. Next, we have foreign sovereigns, ambassadors. Now this includes king, queen, monarch, rulers. They have immunity. Okay, they can enter into a contract with us, they can file a case against us in our Indian courts, but we cannot file a case against them except with the approval of the central government. So they have privileged, they are in privileged position, they are ordinarily considered incompetent to contract because we cannot file a case against them in our Indian court. But ex-kings, they are treated as ordinary citizens and we can file a case. Convict, yes, convict means a person who is in prison. See, you cannot enter into a contract when a person is in prison because he is not capable of performing that contract. Like Sanjay Dutt, when he was in prison, he could not enter into contract because he was not capable of performing that contract. But now that he is out of prison, he is entering into contracts. So when a person is out, maybe on parole or his sentence has expired, then he's capable of entering into a contract because he's now capable of performing the contract. What about an insolvent person? Now, insolvent person is one whose debts exceed his assets or property. Yes, now as soon as a person is declared insolvent, his assets, they are transferred to the official receiver or assignee appointed by the court. Now this person cannot enter into contract relating to his property because he is not in possession of his property. That lies with the official receiver. It vests with the official receiver or official assignee. So since he is not in the possession of property, he cannot enter into contracts, and also his property will now be attached and it will be utilized only for fulfilling his obligations. He cannot sue and he cannot be sued. ना हम उस पे केस कर सकते हैं, ना वो केस कर सकता है. But yes, once he is discharged, once the assets are sold, liabilities are paid off, then he again becomes a solvent person and he acts just like an ordinary citizen. He is then capable of entering into contracts. The person will not remain insolvent throughout his life. Okay, once his assets are sold, liabilities are paid off, and once he is discharged, then he is again considered to be a person capable of contracting. But yes, till his liabilities etc are not paid off, he cannot go on piling up more liabilities. So during that period, he is not capable of contracting. What about a company? See, a company can enter into a contract which is authorized by the memorandum of association. Memorandum, it not only provides the scope of powers, but it also restricts the scope of powers, because you can enter into only those contracts which are authorized by the memorandum. Any contract which is beyond the powers given in the memorandum will be ultra vires and hence void. It is not binding on the company. So the company is disqualified from entering into a contract which is beyond the powers given by the memorandum. It cannot enter into contracts which are ultra vires the memorandum. What about statutory corporation like LIC, RBI, UTI? They are governed by their respective acts, by the respective statutes. So the contractual capacity is also determined by the statute creating it. These are companies which are not, although they may be called as a company, but they are not registered under the Companies Act. They are governed by their own respective acts. So then in this case, the contractual capacity is also determined by their respective statute. What if they enter into a contract which is beyond the powers given by that statute? Such contracts will be ultra vires, and the company is disqualified from entering into such contracts. Alright students, so this was a very short and sweet audio note of the remaining chapter. From now we are going to upload one audio note every day. I may even upload 2 audio notes. Let us finish and revise everything through these audio notes. They are quick, easy, they are fast to remember. You can listen to them unlimited number of times. In my podcast revision lectures, we will also study the section numbers in a story format. I will also make you highlight the keyword sections. If you combine that with the main law book, that is a business law book, it will be a killer combination. And I'm telling you students, mark my word, exemption to pakka hai. So if you want to score not just beyond 60, but if you want to score at least 75 marks in the exam, then yes, the business law book and the podcast is a killer combination, and that is your ticket to exam. Alright students, let us wrap up today's session, and I will meet you in the next one.